Most people are afraid of dying, but after what I saw in the back of my van 3 nights ago, I've realized there are things much, much worse than being dead. My name is Elias, and for 5 years I was a body transport driver. I thought I'd seen every way a human body could break. I was wrong. I didn't know a body could unfold. It was 10:30 p.m. on a Tuesday in Pennsylvania. The kind of night where the fog is so thick you feel like you're driving through a gallon of milk. My partner, Marcus, had called out with a fever, so I was running solo. The call was a private residence transfer. An old man had passed away in a fancy hospital in Philly, and the family wanted him brought back to their ancestral home deep in the Appalachian Mountains. 400 kilometers of winding 2-lane blacktop. When I pulled up to the morgue, the family was already there. 5 of them. They weren't crying, they were just standing. They were wearing these long, heavy wool coats that looked like they belonged in the 1800s. And they were tall, like basketball player tall, but with limbs that looked too thin for their height. I asked if any of them wanted to ride in the passenger seat. The oldest one, a man with eyes like polished gray stones, just shook his head. "He likes the quiet," he told me. His voice sounded like dry leaves scraping on a tombstone. "Follow our Cadillac. Don't stop. Don't look back. Just drive." I should have quit right then, but the pay for a long-distance mountain haul is triple the usual rate. I needed the money. So I loaded the Coffin, bolted the freezer door, and pulled out behind their rusted black Cadillac. Around 1 a.m., we hit the deep forest. No streetlights, no cell service, just the hum of the Mercedes Sprinter and the red glow of their taillights. Then, the sound started. Thump, thump. No, it wasn't a thump. It was a rhythmic, low-frequency chanting. It sounded like someone was reading a Bible in a language that died before humans were born. It was coming from the back, from inside the freezer. I told myself it was just the refrigeration compressor acting up. But then the van started getting heavy. I was flooring the gas. The engine was screaming at redline, but the speedometer was dropping. 40, 30, 20 miles per hour. It felt like I was towing a mountain. I couldn't take it. I pulled over. I grabbed my heavy flashlight and cracked open the back doors. The air inside the van was freezing, but it smelled like fresh lilies and ozone. I looked at the Coffin. The heavy steel bolts I'd tightened myself were loose. The lid had slid open just a few inches. I shone my light inside. The old man wasn't just dead. His eyes were wide open, staring at the ceiling, and his mouth was stretched into a smile that was physically impossible. His jaw had dropped so far down it was touching his chest, and he was vibrating. The chanting was coming from his throat. I didn't think. I just slammed those doors, locked them, and ran back to the driver's seat. I didn't care about the money anymore. I just wanted to get this thing out of my van. My hands shaking so hard I nearly snapped the key in the ignition. I didn't even look at the mirrors. I just wanted to be anywhere but here. I jammed the van into drive and floored it. The engine screamed, but the van barely moved. It felt like the brakes were locked, or like I was trying to pull the weight of the entire mountain behind me. 5 miles per hour. 10. The metal frame groaned under the pressure. And then, the chanting behind me stopped. The weight suddenly vanished. The tires spun wildly, and the van shot forward into the fog with a violent jerk. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I just stared into the white void, praying for a sign. A turn, a light, anything. The fog, it wasn't just thick anymore. It was glowing. a faint, sickly green light that seemed to eat my high beams. That's when I saw him. A man, standing on the shoulder, perfectly still. His arms, they were so long his fingers were brushing the gravel. As I passed, he raised one hand. It didn't have a normal elbow. It bent in 3 places like a spider's leg. He pointed toward a narrow dirt side road that didn't appear on my GPS. I didn't think. I just followed the finger. 5 minutes later, I saw him again. The same man, same tattered suit, standing right in the middle of a bridge that shouldn't have been there. Every time I looked in the rearview mirror, my stomach dropped. The back of the van looked further away. It was like the metal was stretching, like taffy. The cargo hold was growing, right there in front of my eyes, while I was driving into the heart of the mountains. By 3 a.m., the world didn't look like Pennsylvania anymore. The trees were bone-white pillars, reaching so high they disappeared into the black sky. And then, the gate appeared. It wasn't a house, it was a monolith, a stone castle carved directly into the heart of the mountain. The black Cadillac was already there, idling in the yard like a hearse. The family was waiting for me. They weren't wearing their heavy wool coats anymore. Underneath, their bodies were wrong. They were thin, gray, and elongated, easily 10 feet tall. Their skin looked like wet parchment stretched over rusted wire. They didn't move. They didn't speak. They just watched me pull in, their heads tilting in perfect unison, like birds of prey watching a mouse. I watched in the mirror as the oldest one opened the freezer doors. I know my van. It's exactly 8 feet long. But as the tall man began to pull the coffin out, it didn't stop. He pulled 8 feet, then 10, then 12. The coffin just kept sliding out, extending like a telescope. By the time it cleared the bumper, the coffin was 15 feet long. The tall man leaned down to my window. He didn't have a nose, just 2 vertical slits.
Thank you, Elias. He's finished unfolding. Now, it's your turn.
I didn't wait for him to finish the sentence. The second I saw those vertical slits move, I slammed the van into reverse. The engine roared, tires screaming against the ancient stone as I smashed through the heavy gate. I didn't look at the mirrors. I didn't care about the metal scraping against the walls. I floored it back into the green fog. I drove like a madman, my eyes fixed on the road, waiting for that tattered suit to appear again. But the road, it was shifting. The bone-white trees were blurring, the green glow fading into the gray mist of a normal Pennsylvania dawn. By the time I hit the main interstate, the sun was peeking over the horizon. The van felt light, hollow. I pulled into a rest stop, my hands shaking so hard I couldn't even turn off the ignition. I walked to the back and opened the doors. The freezer was empty. No coffin, no smell of lilies, just a thin layer of frost on the floor. I didn't go back to the morgue. I didn't even call the hospital. I just left the keys in the ignition, walked to the nearest bus station, and disappeared. I thought I was safe. I quit that morning. I blocked the hospital's number. But then the pain started. A dull, grinding ache in my bones. This morning, I went to brush my teeth, and I hit my forehead on the top of the bathroom door frame. I'm 5'10". I've lived here for 6 years. I have never hit my head on that frame. I marked the wall. 6 feet, 6'2", 6'4". My skin, it feels tight, Elias. It's shiny and thin. I can see my pulse jumping in places where I shouldn't have veins. I'm staring at the phone now. There's a black Cadillac parked across the street. They aren't here to take me back. They're just waiting for me to finish unfolding.